no substance.
Now I want to continue from you. I want to continue from you about the new issues that have come up. About the 35 million contracts to a company that belongs to him, which company was one of those that have filed what Godwin calls the interpleader.
Yes. When he
sought to, Attorney General sought to attach his query in the Volta region. That is the company that went to court to say that Attorney General cannot have access to, monies belonging to that company. Now, that company is the one that, from the documents we have seen, has been giving a contract as latest as the 2015, and out of which Occupy Ghana is saying is very, very bad. The question to ask Kweku is, what do you make of what you see as far as those documentations presented by Occupy Ghana are concerned? And secondly, and most importantly, are we saying that because he has had a situation like we just discussed with the government, his companies are not entitled to do business in this country?
Very, very interesting question. And already I've heard some lawyers trying to draw the fine distinctions between him as a person, the companies, as a corporate entity, and all the rest. But look, there's sometimes you need to apply common sense and wisdom. I think that arrogance of power and the politics of impunity put together is what has led us to this place. Otherwise, at this material moment, until and unless this gentleman had purged himself of the liabilities that he owes to the state, any state official should be cautious in dealing with him or his company or companies he's associated with. His conduct, his persistent failure or refusal or both to actually redeem the liabilities that he owes to the state is such that I don't find him a credible candidate, either him, his business, or both, for government to enter into such deals with him. And you see, I've been reading, it's over 500 pages. And I've been going through it, scanning. And my goodness, if you took the Waterville Woyome papers together, put them together, the so-called financial engineering and the story he told, the history he outlined, they are spot on. Face the same thing.
No, maybe same because this is also financial engineering. That one was also financial engineering.
Yes.
So you don't expect too much to change. It's just about financial engineering.
They lack substance. They lack substance.
Let me briefly read a part of what Occupy Ghana put out, and that is the basis for which we are having this discussion. It put out a statement on the 24th of November, Occupy Ghana press statement, headed, Woyome again. Woyome again, to 35 million Ghana cedis contract discovered. Occupy Ghana exposes government. And it reads that Occupy Ghana is shocked, outraged, and appalled to discover this, that while the nation is still reeling from the effects of the Alfred Woyome judgment death scandal and the stalled and hesitant attempts by the Attorney General to execute the judgment of the Supreme Court, the government of Ghana has, on the blind side of Ghanaians, entered into a confidential and potentially lucrative agreement with Woyome, acting through one of his companies, Anato Holding Company Limited. This same Anato Holding Company is in the current proceedings in court, is one of the companies that has filed an interpleader claiming to be the owner of two of Woyome's properties that the government has finally managed to attach in execution of the judgment. That matter is still pending and unresolved. We have seen a framework agreement dated as recently as the 21st of December 2015 for Anato Holding to, quote, develop DC ports, including industrial parks and green townships, unquote, in in Ghana. The agreement is signed by Woyome as executive chairman of Anato Holding Company Limited and the then Minister for Transport, Jifa Aku-Ativo. That agreement was entered into on the basis of a non-binding, scantily drafted memorandum of understanding entered into between the same Woyome company and the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority on the same subject on the 28th of August 2015. The framework agreement with Ghana is expressed to have been entered into so that Woyome's company can raise an initial financing of USD 8.5 million just for feasibility studies. In other words, Woyome is relying on the country's goodwill to raise financing for a sweetheart deal that he has entered into with the GPHA and is possibly shopping around banks all over the world for money on the back of this agreement. That bogus agreement was signed with the express approval of Cabinet, as conveyed by a letter signed by the Chief of Staff from the Office of the President, dated the 16th of December 2016. It is instructive to point out that the agreement was signed on the same day that the Cabinet approval was received by the Ministry of Transport. We have seen how Woyome operates. He hits us for 51.2 million that he did not deserve on the basis of a non-existent contract. Our government and its lawyers, either unconcerned or guilty of complicity, sat back when Woyome went to court and obtained a default judgment against us. Even though Mr. Martin Amidu has obtained judgment for the people of Ghana, we are struggling to recover that money from him. And this same Anato Holding is battling to stop us from selling at least 2 of Woyome's properties to pay the debt. It therefore beggars belief that in the face of all these, our government would enter into any kind of agreement involving the same character and or his companies. The irony of the date that agreement was signed cannot be lost on us. 21st December 2015 was the date that the former Minister of Transport, Jifa Ativo, appeared in Parliament to lament that her ministry was broke and that its budget was, quote, woefully inadequate to meet developmental needs of the sector, unquote. Incidentally, that was also the date that the impugned Smarties deal involving the same Jifa Ativo broke in Parliament. They say a few other things. I think I can end there. So, Kwaku.
Impunity is institutionalized.
No, my question I asked is that irrespective of what Occupy Ghana is saying, are you saying that his companies, which are separate legal entities, cannot operate in the country? Have they been blacklisted?
You see, that's what we do to ourselves. Somebody is seeking refuge in the law, okay, to try and ask us to downplay our state of vigilance. Considering what we are going through with him and his companies, and this particular company is part of those mounting blockades relative to the recovery of our monies. Common sense. Is that the only company that can do this business? Come on. Some level of discretion is important. You avoid this company and this gentleman for now. There are thousands of other companies. They are even trying to get SNIT involved. They sent SNIT also invitation to come and take 24% equity in this project. Where's the credibility of this man's companies or himself? Where is the credibility?
He held a press conference and he tells you that, look, this is not a job in which government is giving me a peswa. I am using my goodwill and my company's goodwill to raise the money for the state.
Tell that to the Marines. Tell that story to the Marines. You think that if government was not involved, GPHA was not involved, all that kind of fine document they've drafted, over 500 pages, that is itself money.
So why don't they go for the money themselves? Why do they want another company to do it for them?
That is why I say that then displace him, leave him out. There are many other companies. Even the GPHA can do that on its own. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with that? Unless this is like a rescue operation, a rescue plan to enable somebody to mobilize resources in order to come and redeem the deficit, the liability he owes to the nation. Unless that is the idea, I find this indigestible. I can't eat it. I can't swallow it. It's an insult to our intelligence as a people. It ought not to happen. It's an assault on our sensibilities and sensitivities. It's a wrong policy decision. It ought not to be taken at all in the first place. Common sense, some discretion, some caution, some vigilance will tell you, don't touch this one at this time.
So, Mr. Ankanlin,
yes.
Are we losing sight of the fact that Woyome has companies that have been working and doing work for the state? They are there. You know, these hospital programs, you know, stadium rehabilitation things. Are we losing sight of that? And are we saying because he's been tainted with one payment, he should lose out, his companies should lose out completely?
I think what we must be very clear on is that nobody is trying to say Mr. Woyome cannot do work. But I am absolutely amazed that in the midst of such a huge issue that has attained both local and international focus, you award another opportunity for the person. And let me give you an example that why this amazes me. If Mr. Woyome take this piece of document to international financial institutions, I've sat on boards, I've chaired banks, the first thing they're going to ask you is who is the ultimate beneficial owner of this company? Anatol. And then you know what the next thing they will do? They will do a search on that person and they'll ask, is this a politically connected person? Do you know what the financial institution will say? We cannot deal with that person. Full stop. Because when you're a politically connected person in any international financial businesses, they can't deal with you. This is just the law in terms of what banks do. It's Basel II, for those that may want to be interested. So the point then becomes saying, okay, nobody is saying Mr. Woyome can and can't do business. But before you do that, you've got to sort out the issues first. And I think
I'm saying his companies have not been blacklisted.
It's not, you see, it's not just the companies, it is the company and the person. So the way it's a gauge.
In law, the company is separate from the individual.
It is. But in law, it also states when you repeat directorships, what happens to the person? They don't ban the company from holding directorship. They ban the person from holding those directorships. So the point people are saying is that, and this is where it becomes amazing, that in the midst of this situation, where it is clear there is a fundamental issue, even the government himself has said that apart from the 17, there is fraud potentially engaged. Am I correct?
They went to court. They were unsuccessful.
So
he appealed, and he won the appeal.
It was the belief.
Fraud. Yeah, it was government's belief.
It was belief. If you believe somebody is fraudulent, do you go and do business with that person? Even if you lose the court
case. It is your belief, but you take him to court and he wins the case against you.
He wins the case against
because
you.
of poor prosecution.
If he wins the case,
poor prosecution.
Hold on.
But could they appeal that case and he won the appeal?
Gentlemen, hold on.
Why didn't they go to the Supreme Court? Why didn't they appeal the
I was
Court
about
of
to go
Appeal?
there.
You know that.
Hold on.
Sorry, let me do my job. Let me do my job.
You
I believe very much that there's no deficit in what I'm doing. Please, allow me to do it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, forgive me.
There is processes that have gone through which clearly states there is an issue. There is an issue. We can define that issue between, I thought it was fraudulent, it wasn't, and then it went through, but the Supreme Court had ended that situation and saying payment was made that was unjustified, it needs to be refunded.
Unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional.
Not fraudulent.
Unconstitutional.
Even though the court said it was under bizarre circumstances.
Made that shouldn't have been paid. We can, even if you want to give the benefit of that of fraudulent, the payment should never have been made. It has to be retrieved.
Because there was no parliamentary approval.
Thank you. And you will know from law, a null and void is null and void. Because you can only get the efficacy of that document when you've gone through the process of doing what. So whether we like it or not, it is not the basis for payment.
What do you say should happen? What do you say should happen? So the MPP, what does it want to happen?
It's not even a question of MPP, and I think this is where people need to understand.
No, you are here representing the MPP.
I am representing the MPP, but I think let's not couch this in the terms of, because the money is owed to both MPP and NDC people. And any further ramification that comes, not just NDC, my apologies, PPP as well, it is owed to all Ghanaians. So I think when we make it an NDC or MPP problem, we are belittling the size and issues that is presented here. Okay. What should happen is this, in my opinion. You asked me the question. In my humble opinion, first of all,
contract should be cancelled.
Government should do no business with Somalia until such a time as these things are settled. It's settled in a manner that is based and allow things to go forward. Because you are sending a message to the people of Ghana. And that message should be clear and say,
government
we
should
are
blacklist
for you.
His companies?
No, it's not blacklisting. It's not blacklisting. You are saying, we need to protect you. And because you have given us the role of protecting you, until we have sorted this, we are going to hold on. Because you send a very clear message about your actions and belief and the way you do things by doing such a process. And I think this is where it's important. How do you engage with a politically connected person? And I say this because we're talking about raising capital.
Oh, but too many businesses in this country have political connections.
And you know banks don't provide the facilities to them?
I see.
So then the
So, no, hold on. No, the point doesn't
you take your time shortly. Don't
end.
worry.
That's what I'm saying. You send a message. So even the legal people within should have realized that, and his name is right there in center, signed. That even if we want to do business with this person, to raise funds on our behalf internationally, he's going to face a challenge because most financial institutions are not going to provide that.
All right.
But you are sending a message to Ghanaians.
Let's
send an appropriate message.
Thank you. We take a quick break here. When we return, we'll hear from the PPP Skofisia and also from Godwin Aduji Tamaklo. But before we do that, those who brought this thing out, what exactly are they seeking to achieve? I have just one question for them. We'll call them up. We'll be right back. Let's go to the phone lines there and get one or two quick questions about those who are putting out these documents. And they've splashed the documents on social media. It's everywhere now. The contract document is all over the place. What is the purpose? What do they seek to achieve? This Occupy Ghana, we're told Occupy Ghana has no political motives for anything. Why are they waiting until the political season, so few days to elections, and they are putting all of these things out? We'll get to know from them. We'll speak to one of the leaders of Occupy Ghana, is Kojo Ananankoma, on that. Well, whilst we try to get him on the line, let me speak to Kofi.
Yes, sir.
Well, obviously, you will say, once again, this is why the PPP says you should separate the Attorney General from, so that you can deal with all of these things. But why is it that a man you try to prosecute for fraud, you were unsuccessful, he went on an appeal, he won against you on this? Why should you frame him as a fraud and then on that basis deny him any contracts? Why is this contract as dirty and ugly as the two gentlemen here have suggested?
Well, I think the question is not whether he's entitled to do business or his companies are properly registered and therefore they are what you lawyers call artificial personalities and therefore they have rights to stay and do business. I think it has to do with an exercise of discretion on the part of government. This is somebody that is fighting you or you have decided to take criminal proceedings against. And you were going there. If the criminal proceedings cleared him, then of course your initial understanding you had about him is vitiated. So you can say that you can proceed to do business with him. Yeah, but you see, this is the sad aspect of this spectacle is that it's become like a tool or a design, a scheme by public officers to find something necessarily from government when they have an opportunity to govern. So you start from Waterville, you start from Jida, you start from Woyome's contract, and so many other things. And we are going to discuss shortly, if we have time, the PRC and the contracts to sink boreholes and so on. So we are getting sick with the deliberate create, loot, and share. And Justice, I've forgotten his name, the one who said, Justice Jochi, what he said was spiritual. It's something that he felt that he needed to say, because that is where Ghana is going.
What did he say? That as if a brigade had been set up
to
create loot and share.
And you look left, right, center. What are we gathering all these things from? The Dr. Patrice Lumumba calls it the previous age of hunters and gatherers. That we are gathering houses, cars, aeroplanes, and so on and so forth. What are we going to do with them? But you see, for Woyome, the Access Bank thing, I don't know the history well, but somehow, from Kweku's submission, the money was deposited into the account physically. What is anti-money laundering guys doing about this kind of information?
And if you say the money was deposited,
system,
you would be wrong.
Yep.
And this is why.
It was a transfer.
This is why that he reads where there was an order for Waterville to pay to him into that account.
Yes.
Not an order, the agreement between the two of them.
Yes, agreement.
Yes.
But that agreement is not what led to this payment.
No, I'm just saying.
This payment was a different situation.
No, it's different. No, the point I'm making is that the 4 million that was paid, the 4 million that was paid to Yoko, now was in the account. How did it get into the account? And from the sources you had, it was an account that, if you like, we bankers call dormant.
Yeah.
So you go and put money in, and it means that you carried 4 million cash to the banking hall to deposit. And if that was not the case, then wherever the money came from also must be on the radar of anybody looking to find where the 51 million had gone to. So it's a lead there. Now, Woyome is supposed to do financial engineering again.
Are you insisting, like others, that the Attorney General should be going for that account?
Yes, any possible thing. And even more.
See, Attorney General tells you that it is unethical, it is immoral on the part of any practicing lawyer to do anything like that, because when you come to an agreement with a party, with a debtor, as a creditor, and when you come to an agreement with the person, and the person out of good faith says, I'm going to pay, you don't now, on the basis of the person revealing an account to you,
after what
go
period?
and seek to garnish it.
After what period? So is the Attorney General confident?
You would have been acting in bad faith.
Is the Attorney General confident and can say from now on that this latest agreement put before it will be honored by Mr. Alfred Agosi Woyome?
Well, at least he's done the first payment.
Yes, and there is this issue of...
Now, hold on. Let me talk to Occupy Ghana's Ace Ankuma. Good morning and welcome to the show, Ace.
Good morning, Samson.
Right. Now, Ace, you put out this contract document. This is supposed to be a confidential document, and you have you have chanced upon it, and you are spreading it all over social media. It's all over. Why?
Well, Article 41 of my Constitution places on me and Occupy Ghana and every citizen the duty and obligation to fight corruption. The fact that my government will sign a confidential agreement which exposes this country to possible liability, just as happened or didn't happen in the previous Woyomegate, puts on me and every citizen of this country a constitutional obligation to expose the wrongdoing. And that is what we're doing. But I want to answer this question at this point in various ways. First of all, let's deal with the dangerous terminology that is being used in the Martin Amido case, that the Attorney General was a nominal defendant. That is false. That is untrue. The Attorney General didn't appear only in name, which is what a nominal defendant is.
Right.
Martin Amido went to court alleging wrongdoing by the Attorney General. Guess what? He lost against Woyome. The wrongdoing of the Attorney General was upheld against, I believe, Waterville. But the Supreme Court said the Woyomegate had to do with the fact that there was no contract with Woyome. That did not have Article 1815 implications. So that should go back to the High Court.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was pending in the High Court was a case filed by the Republic of Ghana against Woyome, saying that we do not owe him and that he had received money under the wrong circumstances. Guess what? While that case was pending, the same Attorney General's department that was saying that Woyome didn't deserve the money met him under the auspices of a pre-trial mediation and paid the money. Had Martin Amidu not gotten up to go to the Supreme Court, they would have found a mediation agreement which would have been adopted as the terms of judgment of the High Court and would have been finished forever. Martin took a preemptive strike, but on the first instance, he lost. He went back on review. Okay, let's go back. When he lost, the Supreme Court said, let the High Court case continue. He went back on review and said, well, Supreme Court, you are wrong. Since his contract was derived from the unconstitutional contract, his should also be unconstitutional. In one of the fewest and rare circumstances in our jurisprudence, 9 judges of the Supreme Court said, yes, we were wrong. Martin Amidu is right on the sole issue of constitutionality. So on the issue of a fraudulent or non-existent contract, that was never resolved. Because once the money was ordered, the High Court had no business going into the substantive issue, which has been found, which we now know that the government and employees are taking steps to compromise.
Okay.
So it's a lie for anybody to say the Attorney General was a dominant defendant.
Okay.
The Attorney General was not.
Right.
This was a judgment against the Attorney General, and the person who won this judgment was Martin Amidu.
Okay.
So let's fight that.
Right.
Now let's get to the second issue.
Okay.
While all of this is going on, in 2009, when Mr. Amidu was, when Woyome was still moving around the system to try and get this money, the then Finance Minister, Dr. Dufour, signed a letter to Mr. Woyome and his company, Anato. And it was just to develop what they call green townships, where they were going to use solar energy, and then we were going to build with some fantastic grids that 200,000 Ghanaians will be lifted above the poverty line. Dr. Dufour gave a heavily caveated and conditional acceptance in principle that government will take a 24% stake in a joint venture. But said, look, this has to go to cabinet, this has to go to parliament, we have to discuss with stakeholders. So it was a completely non-committed in principle acceptance. This matter disappeared for a while and started bouncing back again in 2014, 2015. Very similar to that financial engineering situation. By this time, there had been a scope and test creep. It was no longer just developing the green township. It was to develop deep sea ports and a whole thing which he values in billions. So it was no longer 24% of a green township thing. Now it was a whole multi-billion-dollar transaction, and somehow his consultants wrote to the government, misinterpreting the in-principle acceptance of 2009 as a binding obligation in something now called a special economic zone, and demanded that government should instruct Flint to take the 24%. As if government had a binding obligation to take the 24%.
All right.
Letters came out from the office of the president, first seeking the advice of the Attorney General, who at the time was involved with Woyome passing over his Congress. They asked for advice whether the government would indeed direct Flint to take it. The Attorney General's advice, signed by Deputy Attorney General, was yes, under certain circumstances. And so government then issued a directive to Flint in November this year. November this year, this month. Actually, 4th October, directing them to acquire a 24% stake in whatever Woyome was offering. Thankfully, Flint itself took a look at it, and by a letter dated 2nd November, it's asking for further information. And so to say that government isn't carrying any financial or didn't intend to invest any money is untrue.
Okay.
Once again, what was a simple transaction has been blown up into a huge transaction.
There's a question I ask about this particular contract that you have put out there as Occupy Ghana. The question is, Woyome says that he has not been offered a dime, and he is not to be offered a dime in the process. Doesn't that matter?
No, it is untrue. He is claiming in documents we have seen that government has committed to taking 24% of a joint venture. How is government going to pay for the 24%? We are not seeing letters by government directed as split or split to use your pension funds and mine to acquire a 24% stake in the joint venture. So, so the framework agreement is illegal for material non-disclosure.
I see, but
there was a 24% stake.
Okay, right. I need to get back to my studio guest, but very finally, the question that's being posed in some circles about Occupy Ghana is that why is it that you seem to have upped your game in the season just a couple of weeks or a week or so to speak before the elections? You are not supposed to be a political grouping.
Well, no, wait. We are a political organization. We are not partisans. Look, we got this information the night we released the press statement. That very night. Are we to say that when we get such critical information, we will sit and wait for elections to be over?
Okay, thank you.
The person who brought this to us,
right.
that's our program on smart.
Okay, thank you, Ace Ankuma. Ace Ankuma is with Occupy Ghana, and he's been trying to explain a few things and actually getting deeper into making a matter that appears to be a lot more murkier, than you may have thought. I understand that Mr. Woyome wants to make a quick intervention. Yes, let's have him on the line. Is he on the line? Is Mr. Woyome on the line? Okay. Now, whilst we try to get him on the line, you finish up so that Tamako can talk.
2 quick points. I'm saying that if this is true and it's been established that Woyome is doing something on behalf of Ghana, then we got it wrong. He cannot be a good ambassador or financial ambassador. He's a bad one. And everything surrounding him cannot support leading Ghana. The Minister of Finance is globetrotting, getting all the money he's looking for. A few months or weeks ago, the Government Infrastructure Fund, which this program or policy or whatever contract relates to, took Ghana government money, $250 million, and gave it to a bank. If Woyome is looking for 35 million, couldn't we have funded whatever he must raise from that kind of money? So it is just an opportunity to give him some contract.
Okay, hold on briefly. Let me speak to, and thank you. I think you have spoken. When we come back, it will be Godwin Tamaklo who will speak. Mr. Woyome, please put the volume of your set before you completely off, so that you can hear me directly on the phone. Thank you very much for joining us on the phone. What will be your intervention, having heard what you have heard, sir?
First of all, we want you to give me the same time you have given Ace Ankuma.
May not be necessary. You just go to the point.
You don't have that right. Yeah. Because he has made many allegations. He has continued to do this for years now. And Ace has carried his personal issues since 2003 and 2004 with me throughout into this, forming Occupy Ghana and creating a platform as if I am Mumu and I cannot talk.
Okay. So since you need a lot of time, can you just stick to the issue?
Let me explain to you. I'm going straight to the matter.
Okay.
Don't push me. You didn't push Ace, please. I beg you. Because I've been the subject matter of Ace and other people for 5 years.
Okay, but get this. I'm the host here. Listen, I'm the host here. You will not dictate what I will do. I'm just telling you, go to the issue straight.
Okay, I'll go straight.
Don't insist that I give you Ace and I didn't push Ace. You won't dictate what I do.
Let me make this comment, sir.
Go ahead.
It's a matter that a lot of people are listening to you.
Yes, go ahead.
Worldwide. So it is important for me not to come and just answer 1, 2. Let me tell you one thing, that Anato Holding Company Limited is a corporate entity on itself. Whether you like it or not, it is a corporate entity on itself and doing its own business.
He's the executive chairman.
Anato Holding Company Limited, he has gone to say about DUFO or anything like that, started to come and invest in this country together with his partners since 2005. Whatever the case might be, Anato Holding Company continued to make sure that the environment for the investment of such huge infrastructure are done better, so that as equal to any other foreign company, a NATO holding company will also get the same system to do. Nobody is banning a NATO holding company or Afro Woyome not to do business in its own country or not to work. The kind of thing that want to do is not from government. You people have said that, why is Malaysia like this? Why is this like this? And Ghana has not done that. And your own citizens are trying better to do the thing so that you can get the Malaysia, you can get whatever you want to do. And out of jealousy, envy, and everything, you spew out things which are false and not true. What does Occupy Ghana have to do with a private company's own issue? Number one, we have not forced the government of Ghana to take any percentage out of anything. No. The Ministry of Finance agreed that they would take conditional upon certain issues.
Okay.
A NATO holding company have been working and have employed me as their financial engineer. And I have worked all this period, even through this persecution, to make sure that these things come out properly. Now,
sorry, can you clarify just one small point? Hold on. Hold on. Clarify one small point. Let's have a conversation. Let's not have a monologue. Let's have a conversation. Clarify one small point. No, you have said something that ought to be clarified. You said that another holding company employed you. In the contract documents we have seen, you sign as the executive chairman.
Excuse me, I am the executive chairman.
Okay.
Whatever it is, the executive chairman who can do any work.
Right, I just needed that clarity. People, you can go on, you can go on.
That does not go away. Executive chairman, yes, but they've employed me separately to do their work, and I'm doing it.
Okay.
It doesn't debar me from doing my work.
Okay, go on. I just needed that clarity.
Simple put, that this program has its external lawyers to be Manat. Manat of United States of America is in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
It is the second biggest law firm in the world. And you lawyers might know it. And it is the same law firm that is the law firm for African Development Bank.
Okay.
They have known, and they don't care about what you are doing politically here when that MPP young man is saying that risk. Are you trying to shout risk so that banks don't deal with me? That one too, you have mistaken. The issue here is this. The local lawyers are also a reputable firm over here. Anato has its own lawyers. The transaction advisors are Ernst & Young International. Both the London office, Nigeria office, Ghanaian office are on it. The issue here is not about government. It's about investors and investors' capital.
Okay.
We don't need money from government of Ghana. The important aspect of the project rules on some kind of issues we want to clarify. If you are going to hold a port, we don't want to go to Parliament because the laws of Ghana, we have made our mistake. The laws of Ghana do not allow us to do that. So we have signed a certain thing with the Ghana Ports Authority, which is an MOU, non-committal, for us to do our work. After that, we can engage them, and then we will build everything with our own funding. No government guarantee required, nothing.
Okay. One of the issues...
Excuse me, if we approach the SNAIT, or everybody approached it, we say we are not going to take a government 24%. We have stated that clearly.
Okay.
And if we approach a parasitic institution to hold it in a share in terms for Ghanaians, we are not asking them to bring no money. When this thing is built and is done, it will be done. And nobody can stop it.
Okay.
Because it will be
Occupy
done.
Ghana, Occupy Ghana is wondering...
It is giving about 500,000 jobs to technical jobs.
Okay.
It's giving about 50,000 minimum clerical jobs. And it's giving over 3 million jobs and then other incidental jobs.
That's a lot.
Project.
That's a lot.
Excuse me. Yes, it's a West African project.
Okay.
It's huge.
Right.
Lands have been acquired, 30,000 acres. Everything has been done by that company.
Okay.
So the issue here is that if you go and you want institutional licenses and other things, and you are doing framework agreement, which is not a contract, why do you go to the public and start shouting, you are a Ghanaian, I'm a Ghanaian. I don't live on judgment debt. You, Ace and Kuma, you form this one, and all your building, everything's on judgment debt.
Okay.
That you are living on.
Okay.
You are living on judgment debt.
So can I ask you a question at least?
Judgment debt of
hello, sir. Hello.
The two judgment debt.
Hello.
Pay you. That's what you used to build your building.
Hello.
Ask Ace and Kuma, sir.
Okay. Can you catch Mr. Woyome off the line? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can I just say one thing, if I may?
sorry,
I'm
sorry.
very proud.
Let's get to
but you are
let's get
young.
to.
You
I'm
don't want
older
to be
than
an
he is.
old man.
I'm older than he is.
Okay.
Maybe it's the way I'm
Sorry.
dressing, but I'm older than him.
Ah,
I'm
okay,
actually
okay.
older
Sorry,
than
sorry,
him, but
sorry,
anyway,
sorry.
I'm glad he calls me young.
Okay. And Mr. Woyome, I asked them to cut you off the line because you see, even where I am asking you a question, I may be seeking very important clarifications that may be in your favor, but you have a certain prejudice, like sometimes how Tamaklo is doing here.
Oh, what have I
Not wanting you to ask the question because as if they can preempt your questioning, and it's wrong.
Oh no.
So I think, Mr. Woyome, find time, and let's sit down and have a thorough discussion about this thing and stick to the issues. Thank you very much. Now, I should just say you have been itching to speak so long.
That's right.
Yes. So okay, right. Okay, my production is saying we are run out of the time. We have to take a break, but I think you should speak first.
No,
please
let's go to the break and come.
go ahead.
So you don't
go ahead.
distort my talk.
Go ahead. We can break in and go ahead. Yeah.
No, I mean the point I want to make is simple. Relative to this Alfred Anato Holdings, my understanding is that Alfred Woyome is executive chairman of it, so appointed, and that the company, being distinct from his person, has the right under our laws. At least as we speak, the company has not been outlawed to engage in this transaction. What is important and what I have seen is a framework agreement, more or less like a memorandum of understanding, where in this case, not a pesewa of the taxpayers' money has been advanced to Anato Holdings to conduct whatever feasibility studies it intends to do relative to this deep sea port project.
You're supposed to raise the money using Ghana's name. I've said that here.
No, but I think
I've said that here over
and
no,
again.
but
Yeah,
I think
no,
that
it's Father Christmas. That's
I
what
think
he is.
that under the circumstance, the right to do a feasibility studies by the company is their own business. There is nowhere from all the documents that have been put in the public domain that suggests remotely that taxpayers' money has been advanced to Alfred Agbesiwo.
Not yet, perhaps.
I mean, that point is important to make, at least as we speak. And this agreement is supposed to be an agreement signed, I mean, the framework agreement signed somewhere December 2015. Yes. At least it's over a year now. At least if any form of government money or by way of taxpayers' money would have been done, within 1 year, same would have been done. Except, of course, I want to believe that he has the sole responsibility under the circumstance to deal
I've
with.
raised the legal issues that you raise, which he came on the line to repeat. That the Anato Holdings is a separate entity, it's a corporate organization. It is not him, even though he's the executive chairman. You know that there are times when in law we do what we call pierce the veil. When difficulties come, then you pierce the veil to find out who is behind the entity.
But the circumstance.
Now, wait, we haven't even gotten there. Now, I've raised the question that because it's a separate legal entity and it has not been blacklisted, and in fact, Woyome has been taken to court for fraud. He's won the case, he's won on appeal. You cannot say that his businesses cannot do business. The question that is being raised by all my panelists, including Occupy Ghana, is the morality. If you read them, what they are talking about is the morality. How do you feel that when he's going through all of these things and the Attorney General is seeking to get our money back, this same company comes to court and says, no, we will not take the money. And this company, around the same time, is being given job to be done by the state.
My simple answer to your question is, whose morals? With respect.
Your morals.
Occupy Ghana, and from the words of Ace and Koma, is political, but not partisan.
Yes.
We have taken the view that beyond it being a political platform, it's equally partisan, and has consistently done more or less what you call the think tank work of the NPP.
For example,
I have no doubt.
For example,
I'm entitled to.
For example,
to have an opinion on this
right.
matter.
Ignore him. I'm asking you the question.
Now,
For example, point to one of the things they did, which is an MPP thing.
No, I am saying that if you are taking an action that seeks to project the political fortunes or otherwise of a political party, I have the right to express.
They raise issues with the Smarties.
No, it's not about the issue that
they raise issues with the Auditor General not exercising its powers.
It's not about the issue that they have raised.
Okay.
It's about what I think that they are seeking to achieve.
Yes, but you're thinking we all are familiar with the issues. But must have a basis, right?
No, the basis of my thinking is all that you are trying to.
I think that their work is more to the PPP's agenda than the
okay.
Please.
You are taking the
but what is clear in all of this, that the platform Occupy Ghana, let us not run away from it. And I am surprised that proponents of this Occupy Ghana movement would want to run away from, beyond it being political, equally being partisan. But what, for me, is clear in all of this is that as we speak, the taxpayers' money has not been advanced to Anato Holdings to engage in this business.
The question is still outstanding. By your morals, you say by whose morals?
That's
by your morals,
you see,
should the state,
I'm a trained
should
lawyer.
the state be dealing with that company?
There's nothing wrong.
Okay.
And the point
I'm
making is this. To the extent that this man, in the person of Alfred Agbesi Woyome as a person, has been taken to court to be prosecuted, the High Court acquitted him. That acquittal was appealed against. The Court of Appeal, upheld the acquittal. That is the current state of affairs relative to this man called Alfred Agbesi Woyome. The company Anato Holdings, as I speak, I have not found any criminal prosecution or wrongdoing or adverse finding against that company. So if you are asking me morally whether or not that person ought to be dealt with, on the basis of the law, I do not see why that person cannot be dealt with. Even persons who have been convicted and imprisoned, when they come back, they have a right to make a living.
That's right.
And there are a lot of people in this country who have even been convicted for treason. They are back and they are doing business.
We'll go for a break. We'll be right back. All right. Thank you very much. You're welcome back. This Newsfile is your most authoritative news analysis show. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first, and it's brought to you by Bank of Africa. You know that their season of giving promo is still on. Just deposit or open an account with 150 Ghana cedis and build up, and then you will win every month. There are no draws. You can always win. And also, what do you enjoy most about Facebook? Is it the hilarious videos, those funny things and pictures, comments, messenger, or simply staying in touch with your friends? You can enjoy all of this for free with MTN Free After One. Pay only for the first minutes of your call on MTN Free After One and enjoy free Facebook for the rest of the day. Just dial *315# to sign up. Terms and conditions apply. Star Assurance, Star Insurance, e-insurance, 3 easy steps. You can buy, renew, and make your claims all online. StarAssurance.com. That is where you can get the best. And Star E-Insurance is possible anywhere, anytime. Also, ACAP compost fertilizer is organic and it is natural fertilizer. Just get to any leading agro input dealer or distributor across the country. And also, White Temple Agencies Limited, that's where you get the most technologically advanced, trendy, and durable, yet affordable stone-coated roofing tiles. Locate them and get the best that you deserve. Royal Lighting, walk in the lights. You find them at Bachona off Spintex Road, previously Nick and Siloga building, and you get any sort of lights at all that you are looking for. Prosecure Tea from Medimosis Process Center. That's the magic formula for curing any problems at all that you have with urination. And you can find them at Adenta Barrier near Ejekojo or Ahinima Kokobing in Kumasi. Thank you very much indeed. Now, so we've just run out of time, haven't we? I'll just see if you can do 30 seconds each, and then we close because we are unable to deal with the other issues. So
let me just say
you're in a hurry
quickly.
to start. Yes, do it.
You know this Anato Holdings, they have shareholders. As Woyome, one of the shareholders.
He's the executive chairman of the company.
It means that
It's a corporate entity. It's a corporate entity.
Yes,
he could be a shareholder.
But the question I'm asking is that if you're a shareholder, can't your shares in that company be a target of the opportunity available to the AG to take over in fulfillment of the payment of the
They are arguing that in court. They have filed the interpleader. The company has filed the interpleader, so they are arguing that in court. Yes, 30 seconds. What do you have to say?
Really just wanted to say to the point that this discussion, one of the things this discussion has made very clear to every ordinary Ghanaian as they listen is that the sooner we can allow Mr. Amadou to do his work and to help the AG recover this money for Ghanaians, the better. We should find a position for this to happen. And just on a point that my friends on PPP are making, as you know, from the MPP perspective, we have looked at to appoint an Office of Special Prosecutor if Ghanaians allow us the opportunity to come into power on December 7th, with the viewpoint of separating it from the executive. Because a lot of what we're talking about is what you call the smell test. Because of the role that the AG sits under, appointed within the executive, it make it. So there is a point to engage.
Right.
But let's get get to the bottom.
Sorry, Koku, 30 seconds. And the things that Ace Nkrumah was referring to about letters, about Senate having to take over, take up 24% of the project and all. You have those letters. You didn't show us to us. Why is that so? I've just seen those letters as well.
We've all seen them. This looks more like a leading question.
Sorry, yeah.
Like what?
A leading question.
It's not a leading question. I've just made a statement.
No, go ahead.
I've made a statement.
Go ahead and answer him.
Thank God this country is not a banana republic. I thank God. So we will get to the bottom of all these matters. We are not a banana republic. We can never be.
Yeah. Godwin, you have the last laugh.
Thank you. Thankfully, yesterday, the president had the opportunity of, government together with its private sector involvement to resolve over 50-year-old problem, which has to do with the Lavender Hill project.
Yeah, fantastic job.
That's a very good job. It is going to resolve big problem. It's also important to make this point that the port expansion project undertaken by this president is something that we all look, we need to look at critically. And more importantly, the attempt to construct the railway line from Tema
this one,
to
you are
Akosombo.
becoming an octopus now.
Oh yes, I want to grab as many things. I want to grab as many things.
As always,
But
is
finally,
by
thank you very
Latida,
much for this opportunity.
Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Robert Ahunka Lindsay is with the NPP. Kofi Asamoah Siao is with the PPP policy department, and also Godwin Tamaklo Eduji is with the NDC. Thank you. He's a legal practitioner. Have a good afternoon.